somewhere in the Gulf of California. Fewer than 24 individuals of a single species are left alive on the entire planet. In the mountains of India, a frog that has survived since the age of dinosaurs spends almost its whole life buried underground. In the swamps of Sulawesi, a pig grows tusks that curve backward through its own skull. In the deserts of Australia, a spiky little reptile drinks water through its skin. And in the wetlands of North America, a mole hunts faster than your eyes can follow, using a nose with 22 moving tentacles. These aren't creatures from a fantasy film. They're real. They're alive right now. And most people will go their entire lives without ever knowing they exist. Today, we're diving deep into 5 of the strangest, rarest animals on Earth, how they evolved, how they survive, and why some of them may not be around much longer. Let's begin. Vaquita, the world's most endangered marine mammal. Picture a porpoise with dark rings around its eyes, like it's wearing eyeliner and a permanent, gentle smile. That's the vaquita. And it is right now the most endangered marine mammal on the planet. Vaquitas live in one place, and one place only. The extreme northern tip of the Gulf of California, off the coast of Mexico. Nowhere else on Earth. No other ocean, no other sea. They're small, barely 1.5 meters long, making them the smallest of all cetaceans, the group that includes whales, dolphins, and porpoises. Shy, quiet, and elusive, vaquitas avoid boats and rarely breach the surface, which means scientists have almost never observed one closely in the wild. Much of what we know comes from strandings and brief acoustic monitoring. So why is it disappearing? The vaquita isn't hunted directly. It's a victim of bycatch, an unintended casualty of illegal fishing nets set for another animal entirely. The totoaba, a large fish whose swim bladder is trafficked for enormous sums on the black market, primarily for use in traditional medicine. Vaquitas get tangled in these gill nets and drown, unable to surface for air. In the 1990s, there were roughly 600 vaquitas. Today, researchers estimate fewer than 20 remain. Conservationists, the Mexican government, and international organizations have attempted emergency measures, patrol boats, net removal operations, even a failed attempt to capture and breed vaquitas in captivity, which was abandoned after the stress proved too dangerous for the animals. The vaquita may become the first cetacean species driven to extinction primarily by human bycatch, a quiet, invisible ending playing out beneath the waves as you watch this video. Purple frog, a living fossil underground. Now to something that looks like it shouldn't be alive at all. Meet the purple frog, also called the pig-nosed frog, for reasons that will become obvious. It has a bloated, rounded body, tiny, almost invisible eyes, and a pointed snout that genuinely resembles a pig's nose. Discovered by Western science only in 2003, in the Western Ghats mountain range of India, the purple frog immediately stunned biologists, not because it was new, but because of what its DNA revealed. This frog's lineage split off from all other frog families roughly 130 million years ago. That means its ancestors were alive alongside the dinosaurs, and the purple frog itself is essentially a living fossil, the sole surviving member of an ancient evolutionary branch. For most of the year, purple frogs are invisible. They live almost entirely underground, burrowing through soil using their powerful front limbs, feeding on termites and ants with a specially adapted tongue. They surface for just one reason: to breed. For roughly 2 weeks a year, triggered by the first heavy monsoon rains, purple frogs emerge, made in fast-moving mountain streams, and then disappear underground again, sometimes the following 11.5 months. Because of this narrow window and their fully underground lifestyle, purple frogs are incredibly difficult to study, and their total population remains unknown. What is known is that their habitat, the shola forest of the Western Ghats, is under increasing pressure from agriculture, particularly cardamom and coffee plantations, putting this 130-million-year-old lineage at genuine risk of vanishing before we ever fully understand it. Babirusa, the pig with tusks through its skull. If you saw a Babirusa without context, you'd assume it was digitally altered. It isn't. Native to the Indonesian island of Sulawesi and a few neighboring islands, the Babirusa, whose name literally translates to pig deer Malay, is one of the strangest-looking mammals alive. Male Babirusas grow 4 tusks. The lower 2 curve upward, like a normal boar's, but the upper 2 do something almost nowhere else in the animal kingdom. They grow upward to the skin of the snout, curl backward, and arc toward the animal's own forehead. In older males, these upper tusks can curve so far back that, in rare cases, they continue growing until they pierce the skull itself, effectively killing the animal. A bizarre evolutionary trait that scientists still debate the purpose of. The leading theories. The tusks may serve as a display of dominance and genetic fitness to potential mates, similar to a peacock's tail, or they may have originally functioned as protection during fights between rival males, evolving into an exaggerated ornamental feature over time. Unlike typical pigs, Babirusas have thin, almost hairless, wrinkled gray skin and a more upright, long-legged build. They're excellent swimmers, and have even been observed swimming between neighboring islands. Babirusas are also unusually intelligent for a wild ungulate. They've been documented using mud wallows strategically, engaging in complex social behaviors, and even appearing to test unfamiliar objects with caution. All three Babirusa species are currently threatened, primarily due to deforestation and hunting, as their meat is considered a delicacy in parts of Sulawesi, placing this evolutionary oddity increasingly at risk. Thorny Devil, the lizard that drinks through its skin. Deep in the arid desert of Central, Australia lives a lizard covered, head to tail, in sharp conical spikes, an animal that looks like it was designed specifically to survive a horror movie. Meet the Thorny Devil. Despite the intimidating appearance, Thorny Devils are small, rarely longer than 20 centimeters, and completely harmless to humans. The spikes exist for one purpose: defense against predators like birds and larger reptiles, which struggle to swallow such a spiky, awkwardly shaped meal. But the Thorny Devil's most remarkable trait isn't its armor, it's how it drinks. In one of the harshest, driest environments on the planet, standing water is almost non-existent. So the Thorny Devil evolved a way to harvest moisture from anywhere it touches: dew, damp sand, even morning humidity. Microscopic grooves cover its skin, forming a network of channels that use capillary action, the same physical process that lets a paper towel soak up a spill to draw water across its entire body and funnel it directly to its mouth. The Thorny Devil can essentially drink through its feet. It has one more surprising trick: a soft, false head-like bump on the back of its neck. When threatened, the Thorny Devil tucks its real head down between its front legs and presents this decoy bump to a predator instead, a strange evolutionary sleight of hand. Thorny Devils are also incredibly specialized eaters. Their diet consists almost entirely of ants. A single Thorny Devil may eat several thousand ants in one day, using a slow, deliberate, sit-and-wait feeding strategy that can take hours to fill its stomach. Star-nosed mole, the fastest eater on Earth. Our final animal today lives almost entirely out of sight, underground and underwater, in the marshes and wet lowlands of eastern North America and Canada. Meet the star-nosed mole, an animal whose face looks almost alien. Surrounding its nose are 22 fleshy, pink, finger-like tentacles called rays, arranged in a perfect starburst pattern. These rays aren't for show. They form one of the most sensitive touch organs in the entire animal kingdom. Packed with over 25,000 microscopic sensory receptors called Eimer's organs, the star-nosed mole's nose tentacles are estimated to be roughly 6 times more touch-sensitive than a human hand, despite being a fraction of the size. Because star-nosed moles are almost completely blind, this organ replaces sight entirely. They use it to sense their environment and identify prey with astonishing speed, in complete darkness, underground or underwater, and speed barely captures it. Star-nosed moles hold the record for the fastest documented eating time of any mammal. Using high-speed cameras, researchers found that a star-nosed mole can identify, capture, and consume a single prey item in as little as 120 milliseconds, faster than the human eye can consciously process what it's seeing. They're also one of the very few mammals capable of smelling underwater. Star-nosed moles rapidly exhale small air bubbles onto objects or scent trails, then re-inhale the bubbles to detect odor particles. Essentially a functioning underwater nose, a trait shared with almost no other mammal on Earth. For an animal most people have never heard of, living in swamps most people will never visit, the star-nosed mole may genuinely be one of the most sensorially advanced creatures alive today. 5 animals, one on the very edge of extinction, one that's been quietly surviving since the age of dinosaurs, one whose tusks can tragically kill it, one that drinks through its skin in one of the driest places on Earth, and one that eats faster than you can blink. Every one of them is real, alive, and sharing this planet with us right now. Most surviving in places so remote or specialized that entire lifetimes pass without a single human sighting. Which one of these 5 surprised you the most? Was it the Vaquita's tragic decline, the purple frog's ancient origins, the Babirusa's strange tusks, the Thorny Devil's water trick, or the star-nosed mole's incredible speed? Let me know in the comments below. And if strange, rare, and endangered animals fascinate you as much as they fascinate us, subscribe. Because the natural world still has thousands of species like these waiting to be discovered. Because the wild is always stranger and more fragile than we realize.